If you are just about to start the iGEM process and you're not quite sure what's in store, then you're in luck. We're going to give you a head start.
University of Southampton presents the iGEM experience.
To start with, the iGEM experience involves many team meetings. After the classic getting to know each other sessions, always a crowd pleaser, we get down to business and start brainstorming ideas for the project. This is a surprisingly tricky part of the iGEM process. You'd think it would be easy. After a few hours of discussion, doodling all the ideas on a whiteboard, someone would come up with an ingenious plan. A virtual light bulb would appear above their head, and that would be it. Idea sorted. Of course, it's never quite that simple.
We soon realised that although we had great ideas to cure cancer and cancel third world debt, we couldn't save the world in 10 weeks. We had to find an idea that was new to iGEM, but also achievable in the timescale. If you stumble across this problem, don't worry about it. Okay, so it'll take a few days instead of a few hours, and after being confined in a small office for almost a week, you may have to restrain yourself from strangling your teammates, but you will eventually settle on an interesting yet feasible idea. And hey, look on the bright side, it ensures your brain is switched on right from the start.
Once the project is chosen, there is a lot of hardcore reading to be done before the practical work can start. We read piles of research papers just to get us up to scratch on all the synthetic biology concepts. However, being the bright sparks that we are, we decided to change our project after a few weeks, so most of the extra reading that we did was of no benefit. We also filled out countless health and safety forms. A double-sided A4 sheet telling us not to drink, inhale or lick the DNA seems like overkill, really.
Then the practical work started. Well, kind of. Although us chemists are experts in making white powder from white powder, we had never done any experiments involving DNA before. So, to turn us into fully fledged biologists, we had a synthetic biology crash course, introducing us to the alien biology protocols. At first, all of the experiments seemed to merge into one. We may have made one or two tiny hiccups by getting the protocols a bit mixed up, but whatever, you learn from your mistakes. By week 4, you will have been lulled into a full sense of security. You would have begun to feel comfortable with all the techniques, and everything will be going smoothly. But all of a sudden, the experiments will stop working, and you won't know why. So frustrating. Being on an iGEM team, you live in the lab from 9 till 6, 5 days a week. Hence, a little part of you dies every time you have to start again.
Depressingly, it is guaranteed that things won't always go according to plan. Your 10-week timetable may spiral out of control. But you know what? After a few days, weeks of disappointment, you will eventually concede that this is what science is all about. Trying, failing, and trying again. Team morale is bound to hit rock bottom. But you learn to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and pull together as a team to solve the mystery of the failed experiment. The joys of research, eh?
Whilst all these disasters are going on in the lab, some team members manage to avoid this turmoil as they stay cooped up in the office and get on with other important jobs.
Although the wet lab team believe their work is the most important part of the project, the group would not be complete without the lovable computer geeks who spend their days simulating simulations and designing wiki pages. Seriously though, side projects are always a good idea to complement the work in the labs. Have a good think about which ventures you want to undertake. We have found that it can be difficult to complete the wet lab research in the allotted time, so it's good to have other work to support your overall project.
Everything finally comes together. The wet lab team tie up all the loose ends, and most of the work now happens in the office. We all club together to finish off the wiki page, write up final project projections, and make sure the team's day-to-day diary is up to date and complete. Take note, writing a diary is much easier if you actually write it day by day. Otherwise you will experience the true meaning of brain ache when you try to recap everything in the final week.
The team poster becomes the main priority. Designing a poster appears to be so much fun, but no one ever agrees on anything. Overall layout, portrait or landscape. Colour schemes, blue or pink. Text boxes, bigger, smaller, left a bit, down a bit. And then eventually, the entire team all finally agrees that it was better off to begin with. So, advice from us to you. Start throwing around ideas 3 weeks before your project is due to finish.
So that sums up our iGEM experience. Slightly resembling a rollercoaster ride, it's been an interesting journey to say the least. But sloppy final sentence coming right up. Despite the blood, sweat and tears, we've had a blast and have learned so much about synthetic biology and all that's involved with being part of a research team.
Hopefully we've given you a positive yet realistic outlook on our iGEM experience. And if you are still game to take part in next year's contest, here are Southampton's 5 top tips to a smooth-ish iGEM experience.
Go through the theory of the experimental procedures before you start, just so you know exactly what is happening at each step. It makes it so much clearer.
Be thorough and detailed in labs. Repeating an experiment takes longer than doing it right the first time. But don't listen to the saying, slow and steady wins the race. Develop the art of doing things quickly as well as thoroughly. DNA does not like to be kept waiting.
Right up as you go along. Leaving it until the end causes many complications, believe us.
Buy lots of coffee. You will need caffeine and plenty of it.
Finally, remember what your mum used to say. It's the taking part that counts.